Postgraduate studies can be very demanding. It makes demands on your time, your finances, but also in terms of your personal commitment. By gathering information in terms of requirements for the study, you can really plan in terms of how you use the time before you start with the degree. What do you think, what are the important things that students should consider in their preparation before they apply?
Postgraduate studies are usually different from your undergraduate studies. So before you can continue with your postgraduate study, you want to have a roadmap. So planning becomes essential. And there are a few things that you also have to be aware of. Number one being funding. And a lot of students do not underestimate just how much it costs to do their postgraduate study. So a good place to start would be the research office at the institution. And then find out what are the available funding options, and then getting as much information as possible. And if you're able to apply to as many as possible. The other important thing that you need to consider is your family. You want to make sure that you do not isolate yourself from your family. Make sure that they are your support structure, and that is also going to help you a lot. The other thing that is going to be very important to ensure that you complete within the allocated time is time management. So you want to plan your time effectively and make sure that you use it effectively. And obviously you come into a study or a degree that is different from the one that you just had. So there will be things that you will not be familiar with, like the subject knowledge in terms of your research topic, your academic writing skills, research methodology. And then this will be your academic limitations. So identify what those academic limitations might be, and then also try to look for academic support structures. And a postgraduate school or a research office will probably have like a comprehensive program that has quite a menu of things or workshops that you can attend to try to improve on this set of skills. And then the other thing that you also need to do is familiarize yourself with the policies or the rules and regulations from the institution, because this will not only help you to know what is expected of you, but then also what to do should you encounter challenges along the way. Challenges will come and the workload will increase. And usually that makes the postgraduate journey a very long one and a very lonely one. So for you to stay motivated, you want to, or maybe get out of your, you will want to get out of your maybe the lab, the library for a bit to unwind and relax a bit. Maybe going to social events organized by the student council structures on campus, or even joining a gym, or basically just doing anything outside the academic environment to help you to just relax a bit, so that when you come back to your studies, you are more energized and revitalized. I think that will be very, very important.
Well, usually because with the application process, you often need to motivate why you want to further your studies in a certain research field. It's important to have background knowledge of the field, because then that influences not only the institution that you will enroll in, but also the supervisor that you will potentially have. In the application process itself, you need to motivate why you want to further your studies in a specific field. What's important then is to have background information, so that when you sit with your potential supervisor, the two of you can come to an agreement. Also do research as to what the university specializes in, whether it's a research intensive university, the academic department. Maybe interview some of the students that are in that department to get an idea of what the environment is like. And obviously then once you're enrolled, then your research topic will be refined more or less. But what's also important is for you to be very sure that the resources that you need for your research project are available at the specific department or university.
What are the guidelines that you would provide to a student on how to improve the working relationship with the supervisor?
I think importantly to note is that the responsibility lies with you to meet regularly with your supervisor. And usually supervisors are most of the time very busy. So you'd want to set up regular meetings with your supervisor to discuss challenges that you might encounter, to discuss maybe the supervision feedback, and also the plan of action for you to be able to complete your studies. And it goes without saying that your master's or PhD is your full responsibility. So you're going to have to make sure that if you have issues that you need to address, communicate this to your supervisor. And one of the best ways to do that is to have like a short sort of like agenda points that you can discuss with your supervisor when you usually meet in these regular meetings.
In order to improvise the working relationship with the supervisor, additionally, when it comes to feedback, it's important to sit down with your supervisor, draw up a timeline as to when you should expect your feedback and when you should obviously give the edited version of the feedback. And also clarifications with regards to the feedback, because I know many students, myself included, what we do, you go back home and you basically postpone, and only then maybe the day before you do to submit, you only realize that, you know what, I was actually not clear on what the supervisor really wanted when it comes to the section. So clarify all of those, and also write down a summary of the recommendations if there are concerns. And what I also believe in is having a paper trail. Whatever you discuss or agree on, send maybe via email so that there's an electronic copy. Should anything happen, we know that this was agreed upon, or maybe even have a signed agreement, just so that both parties are on the same page.
What will you recommend to students in terms of dealing with critical feedback?
Firstly, you must be open to correction. That's the most important thing. And take it very calmly. It's not a personal attack, it's about the work, and treat it as such. If you do have any recommendations or things that you don't clearly understand, state them, because one of the things about research or anything to do with postgraduate studies is that it allows you to think critically. And if there's something you're not in agreement with, find out why. Always have an open mind towards it. And when you have situations where you don't necessarily agree, give the supervisor enough time or give indication to say that why you do something this way. It's a feedback process. It's for your betterment as opposed to your destruction. Anything that you're doing in your postgraduate studies is building towards something, which is the final product. That's the thesis. So take it with a very positive mindset and be open to it.
What can you recommend to a student in terms of the effective management of their time?
Well, essentially it comes down to the person, and each individual needs to take personal responsibility for the regulation of their own time, the regulation of their own studies. So I would bring it down to 3 components of self-regulation: setting goals, monitoring your progress on the goals, and considering the impact of willpower, fatigue, and rewards, thereby considering what short-term goals are and what the long-term goals are. It may be important in setting short-term goals to set up a weekly routine on such and such a day, for so many hours I will spend reading and writing, because postgraduate studies are really dependent on one continuously reading, familiarizing themselves with the content, the language and the discourse of the material itself, and therefore building on the writing. And therefore that should be working towards a short-term goal, while the long-term goal, of course, is to achieve the qualification, but not just to achieve the qualification, but to meaningfully do so. In monitoring, one may want to consider which times of the day are most productive for you. If you're most productive in the morning, then it's best that you set up more concrete and thoughtful tasks for the morning, where you need to work on conceptualizing ideas. Then set that for the morning. And then, of course, it is important to take time to just say, well done. You've spent those hours on what you meant to spend them on, and therefore spend time relaxing and reward yourself.
Literature on postgraduate education report that a postgraduate journey can be a very isolated and a lonely journey for many students. Yet there are many resources available on campus that students can make use of to improve their adjustment and to access support while they're busy with their studies.
To deal with support, make use of your resources available on campus. There are a lot of support centers. Your supervisor is not the only person who can assist you. For instance, maybe they might not be an expert in a certain field. Maybe it could be a language editing. It could be even the statistical work. Find ways to know which resources are available and support. Know the library very well. And also know the postgraduate school in dealing with maybe issues pertaining to your postgraduate studies. It's important for you to actually find and know the resources available in terms of support.
So as we have seen in this discussion, there are many things that students need to prepare for before they apply for studies. Gathering sufficient information, talking to many people about all your uncertainties about a postgraduate degree can help you to save a lot of time.